waiting live. We're live.
Yay! We're live?
We're live. But your phone's not playing.
Where's my song?
We're live. Live and direct.
Okay. Let's do this. It's been a couple weeks.
Yes, it has been.
It's been a couple weeks.
A couple of weeks.
But I'm excited to be back. And I have a couple good topics and good questions, actually.
Don't we all?
Do you?
Let's see who's hopping on right now. I'm gonna see your dance moves. People want to see you dance. You keep it close. Keep it safe.
I keep it safe when there's a microphone in front of me.
What do you mean?
I
How
can't.
can they hear you dancing?
No, it can't be wild when I'm gonna knock the mic out
What's
of
a
my hand.
wild dance move you got? What's the most wild dance move?
I'm a millennial. We were told to put our hands up every time we dance.
And
that's
let
what
them
I do.
stay there.
Yeah.
Let them stay there.
And wave them like you just don't care.
And wave just like you just don't care.
From the window to the wall. So I'm just saying, I am a product of my generation. Are we on the Utes?
We're on the Utes.
On the Tubies? Tube.
Tubby Tubes.
Tube.
Here we go. We're on the Utes. We're on the Grams. We're on it all. Jarrell
it's
is
the
on here.
same.
Say, what's up, Jarrell?
What up?
What up?
I like how in the thumbnail you put us high-fiving under the, and the title is, Am I Trailer Trash? And it's us high-fiving on the thumbnail.
I didn't even see the thumbnail, actually.
That's hilarious. It's great. I love it. Just sending out the link to the peeps.
Well, as my wife does that, today we have a story for you.
Ooh.
All those following along. Just want to say, we're gonna go through. Are we trailer trash? Our hope from. Well, that we'll get there, but I think more of the fact is our journey from bedroom to.
It's not that kind of journey.
I want to say
From the bedroom.
from first meet to the bedroom kind of thing.
No, don't first meet to the bedroom. No, it's not like that. What we're referring to is today we are going through the story of all the places that we've lived, because we've lived in a lot of places since we got married. A side note, I've actually lived in many places just in my life because we moved a lot when I was a little kid. And like we were just in like many different, like, and my parents were separated. So it was like every time each of my parents moved was a move. And it was like we moved so much. So I'm like used to that. But after we got married, okay, first of all, how many times have we moved?
Oof.
I think before we tell the story and count, my remembrance is I think 8. I think it's 8, maybe 7. I think it's 8.
I would say 8 or 9.
Ooh, 9.
Yeah, I would say we're pretty close.
Getting wild.
Getting
All right,
wild.
let's jump into it. Let's
Okay.
not let the suspense go on any
Yes,
further.
we got the groove now. We're good.
Okay, so we got married. These couple of little youngins.
Wait, it was before we got married though.
What was?
Our move-in. So
Well,
let me just share a little bit about more of the leading up to. So there we are. we met, and it's exciting. And as a husband, I
have to tell you that you have something in your teeth before this podcast goes 1 second further. Yep, there she is.
Yeah.
There she is. You got to get that out of there.
We'll stream to you real quick.
This podcast. Please enjoy this monologue until we return to our regularly scheduled programming. Once upon a time. Nope. Once upon a time.
It just stuck there.
There was. You have to get it out. It's like, oh, there you go. It was like a full on like green piece, like cilantro. You're good.
Okay.
So
So
there we were.
there we were.
We got married.
We
Or
got
no,
married.
before
Oh
we
no,
got
before
married?
we get married. So I need to provide a home as a husband should provide a place for his
You
wife.
were living at summer camp.
I was living at camp, and I was like, okay, I have to provide a home
staff.
as a staff member, and
And I was living with my grandma. I was like still I had like graduated college. I had moved out of like our like college house, the girl house that I lived in. And I moved back in, like not back. I moved in with my grandma because like my parents had since like left the homes that I had grown up in. So I was with my grandma.
So I decided I need to get a home, and we didn't have money for a home. We're broke as a joke, and we paid for a wedding, and I just had a job. I actually just started, so I said, you know what? We don't need a full home. It's just us, and the closer we are, the better. Especially when you get married. That's what I was thinking.
You mean the physically closer you and I are,
Yes.
not the closer we are like to where we were.
No. Like the amount of space between us cannot be greater than what we need to. So saying that, I was like, a bedroom in our home is what we got.
So we moved into a bedroom. After we got married, we moved into a bedroom together. It was this lovely, sweet woman that Jeremiah found on Craigslist. We moved in there.
By the help, okay, this is a crazy story because I would never forget this. And Jarrell's, I don't know if you're still watching Jarrell, but Jarrell, if you're on, by the help of Jarrell, you remember that? Jarrell said, hey, God blessed us and we want to bless you, and gave us the money to put a down deposit on that place.
Oh, is that where the deposit came from?
Yes, you knew where that deposit.
No, I remember them deciding to bless us. But I don't recall that you used it as a deposit. I thought that we used it for like our wedding or a honeymoon or something.
No, I needed the money for
You
a deposit.
needed a deposit for the room.
And it was like $1,200. I'm like, where am I get that? And the Lord definitely provided.
Yeah.
It's wild. So we got a bedroom with a stranger, 2 strangers.
Yeah, because this woman owned the house and she rented one bedroom out to Jeremiah and the other bedroom she rented out to this other guy from Craigslist. And so we were like...
And this is how sketchy it was. Is like she didn't even meet me because I couldn't drive all the way to San Diego because my car was like an issue. But her sister lived in San Diego, and we asked your sister to drive up. We Venmo'd her the money, drive up, give the deposit. Because we had
that?
We did all that.
I don't remember that at all.
It was like
bro.
crazy.
I don't remember that at all. There's so many details of this story. I'm already like relearning for the first time.
And I'm like, your sister kind of was a huge thing because we need a place to live immediately. So it worked out, and we got the room.
And we got her to drive. That's not a short drive. She probably drove at least 40 minutes. 30, maybe 30 minutes.
Yeah, but I didn't have a car. That's how like ridiculous we were. I didn't even have a car.
Yeah.
We didn't have the money.
We didn't have a car. You didn't have a car.
Yeah.
I had a car that was as old as I was.
Yeah, the wounded butterfly.
Yes. And then we both, you had just started working at Ashley, or you had been working at Ashley Furniture. Yeah. And I like graduated college, and then I stopped my summer camp job, and I was like, I'm going to find something new.
Jarrell says, bro, that's wild. Are you sure we did? Absolutely. Jarrell,
yes.
100% no, because someone gave you I'm going to tell you, this Slumdog. Basically, you were blessed with a van, and you were saving money up for a van. And someone gave you a van from the church. And you're like, dude, we've been saving up this money. Do this. But it's funny because you're like, don't go to San Diego. Just because you're like, it's just because it was so unwise, and it maybe was so unwise. But the amazing thing, the Lord goes before us, and
right.
Prayers.
No, but I remember literally Jarrell, like, stop. It's not for you. It's my phone.
Your phone is my phone.
I remember.
I can look.
No, you literally. My phone is facing this way. I looked down. I saw that the text.
Are you planning a surprise party for me? Like, I can look at your phone whenever I want. Like, as a married couple, you have free.
No, listen to me. We are in the middle of a conversation. We are live on the internet. I glanced down at my phone, saw that it was not an urgent text, and continued talking. And you stopped everything to pick up my phone and look at who. And I'm like, I'm trying not to distract.
If your phone is such a distraction, you should put it on the ground, put it away, turn it on.
It's not a distraction. I'm going to use it during this time. Sweet, sweet man.
Hmm.
Jarrell, thank you for the blessing. I remember it. I remember it very clearly because remember Jarrell sat us down and Jarrell was like telling us, hey, like, we're going to make this happen for you because it was really important to him and Josie that we got married as soon as possible.
That is true too. I think that's more than he says he has dementia. And Drill, it's not that you have dementia. I think every kid you have takes like 5
Ooh.
years of your memory out.
Ooh, that's a good analogy of it. I was going to say like kills part of your, like a fraction
No,
of your
but
brain.
just so much.
No, it's like it like sucks the memories out. All the non-essentials,
Yeah,
non-survival information.
That's a good sound.
Yeah, to do it into the mic like that. Yeah, good idea. It just like, yeah, you just end up, you gotta put it on me. You put it on yourself to turn away to laugh as if you're ridiculous. So anyway, here we go.
So
That's
we get
the first place
we get the
lived in.
bedroom.
We get into the bedroom. And we cannot take this long on every
Yeah.
thing.
So we get in the
we'll be here for
bedroom.
80 minutes.
The bedroom. We've been there for how long? I don't know.
You moved in first.
Yeah.
And then I remember being like, I am the wife I'm moving into. And it was like, she was like surprised that 2 people were going to share this bedroom. I remember that. And I was like, what? It's our own. It's our first place.
And this is the thing about it is it was incredible. Now 2 people when they first get married should not be that close to vicinity all the time, every time. But let me tell you, you want to fast track your marriage. You want to make sure that you go through discussion after discussions and work out the kinks and really know a person. Then move into a single bedroom room. Sleep on a full size mattress
where that's all you have.
and get a cat.
It was a full It was a full size bed. That's what's wild. This bedroom was like it was a small room. So imagine like your average single family home, 2-story house, 3 bedrooms. 3 bedrooms, the master and 2 bedrooms, and those 2 bedrooms shared a bathroom like you would have for like a regular family, but it was like a married couple living in there sharing a bathroom with this other random guy who like he worked all the time. I literally never saw his face even once.
It was like the randoms guy. Like,
Yeah,
it's like a randos.
random guy. And then we lived in there and we decided to get a cat. And 3 was company.
Three was company.
Three was
and
company in that
let me
room.
tell you, it was the experience.
Yeah, we could not fight.
Yeah.
We would fight, but we had nowhere to hide because it wasn't like I would just go chill in the living room. Like it wasn't that kind of a house where it was like we didn't necessarily feel very welcome in
They
the
had their own
communal
silverware,
spaces.
their own bowls, everything. It was like it was a full functioning house. And we kind of it was wild.
Like we were given like a single drawer and a single shelf in the kitchen. We had to have all of our own like appliances, pans, pots. Like nobody was sharing anything. Like it was like we had to, like we bought our own silverware. We bought everything.
We snuck a fridge upstairs.
We did.
And a cat.
We snuck in a mini fridge because there was not a lot of space in the fridge downstairs. And so we put a mini fridge in our room.
Wow.
And we got, it's not.
Oh.
And we got asked about the electricity. And we were probably not as honest as we should have been.
Hey, you gotta do what you gotta do. So with that, we loved the room so much that we decided to upgrade to a larger room. So after living there for like a year,
no,
for me it was for a year, and then
it was like 6 months.
Okay, 6 months. We upgraded to another,
and then and then we moved in. So we had somebody that was like a mutual friend who had a bedroom that was slightly bigger. It was a slightly larger bedroom. And they were going to charge us a little less than what we were paying. And I was like still looking. I was because when we first were living in that first bedroom, I was finishing up my job at the summer camp. And so then I was like, okay, now I'm going to find like a local job like in this town. And I did. We were like in between, and we moved in there and it was great. It was a great way to like save money and all that. We lived there in that bedroom for about 6 months. And
so we lived there for 6 months.
Saved up.
And That was a fun time. Got a lot of sushi. And then we had our first apartment.
And then we got our first
So
apartment.
we found this apartment, Hacienda. Was it? I forgot where it was. Off Hacienda. It was close to the Costco. We're like, let's do it. Let's move it. It was the cheapest place around.
It was the cheapest place. I was going to say, we were apartment shopping for a long time. We were trying
was
like
it like $1,300, $1,200.
No, when we first found that apartment,
two bedroom.
it was, I want to say, maybe $900 a month.
No,
Maybe $1,000.
It was. I think it was $1,100.
No, it started at $1,000 because I remember it would go up $100 every year.
It is wild.
And it was like scary because we lived there for like 3 years.
Yeah.
And by the end of it, we were paying, I think, like $1,200. So I think we started at $900.
And then from there,
Well, this is what happened though. We were living in the one bedroom. Okay. We loved it. We finally had our own place. It was great. Like 3, 4, 5 months in to living in our very own first apartment ever, my mom calls and I'm like, Mom, she wants to come back to California. She wasn't in California at the time. And I was like, you can live with us. And so my mom came and moved into our 1-bedroom apartment, and she slept on a queen mattress in the living room for like, I want to say like 4 months.
Yeah.
Because we had to put our names on a wait list then for a 2-bedroom. Because now my mom was there, so now we could afford a 2-bedroom. And we went month. We were like, hey, stop the lease. We went month to month so that as soon as a 2-bedroom opened up, we could snatch it. And then we moved literally right across the little sidewalk over to a 2-bedroom apartment.
It was pretty
with
wild.
my mom. Yep.
And people say it like all the time. Oh, I can't believe you moved with your mother-in-law. Oh my gosh. And everyone would say your mother-in-law lives with you, like that stereotype.
Uh-huh.
But it was a blast having your mom live with us.
It was so fun
because like,
well, my mom is fun.
Your mom, not that as you say, your mom cooks and cleans and does all the things. Like your mom was just so helpful.
She was helpful.
She was so helpful.
She's a really good
especially
roommate.
Because I didn't really know how to be a husband, like really well to you at times. Get real, like there's times where like I faltered and was growing still.
The thing is, you and I were both working full time.
Yeah.
And so that made a difference, like as far as the division of like the division of labor, who's doing what, who's cooking, who's cleaning, who's hauling the laundry across the parking lot to the main office where the laundromat is for our neighborhood, who's doing all these things. We struggled with that. I struggled with that. Can I tell you one funny story real quick? When we first got married, we both worked full time. We were figuring out how to like live on our own together, right? Because we weren't living in anyone's house anymore. We were now like on our own in an apartment. And I remember that I would only do my own laundry. Do you remember that? No, I remember that I would do my own laundry. And I was like, Jeremiah is a grown man. He can do his own laundry when he finds his own time. And I would go to my job and I would come home. I worked all day, everything. And I would come home and do my own laundry. And you had to have a talk with me. And you said, if you're doing laundry anyway, can you please also wash my clothes?
And then I stepped up. Can you please check my pockets? Actually, I didn't ask you to check my pockets. You asked me to check my pockets. And I'm like, well, I will. And I don't.
That took a couple years.
Yeah.
That took, I think, 2 years of marriage before I was willing to empty your pockets for you.
Yeah. Well, the problem was if I didn't empty my pockets, it would destroy all the laundry.
All my clothes had pen stains.
Yeah, you would suffer. I'm sorry for that. So saying that, your mom was very helpful getting the pen stains out. And getting stains out. She's great at that. Gum stains, all these stains.
She makes great Spanish rice.
We had our first child and she was this phenomenal grandmother.
So yeah,
she
so
really
this is
bonded with that.
this is the timing. We were moving out of our 1-bedroom, moving into the 2-bedroom. So now we're on a place number 4 for those of you keeping score at home. 1st bedroom, 2nd bedroom, 1-bedroom apartment, 2-bedroom apartment. And this is all within the first 2 years of marriage. So we moved into that apartment, and I remember specifically that I found out I was pregnant maybe the day before or the day of moving day, because people were there helping us. And I was supposed to be like lifting heavy boxes and doing all this stuff. And I felt like I was worried. I didn't know if I could do it. And then or if I should be like lifting things. And I didn't tell anybody that I was pregnant.
That's wild.
And I was pregnant with Judah, our firstborn. And then we moved into the 2-bedroom. But the thing is, now we're in a 2-bedroom apartment, us two, my mom, and now a baby's on the way.
The babes.
And that was such a great time. We lived in that apartment the longest, 2 years, I think.
Yeah, I think about 2 years we lived in that one. Again, apartment living kind of sucks. It is what it is, but it's rough having neighbors down below and all around. And you're just always
hear everything.
You hear everything. You're kind of sensitive. You have those loud neighbors. We were those loud neighbors.
Yeah.
We had different experiences. This was one funny story though. We were literally walking in from our car, and we saw like, what was the Phantom of the Opera or something?
It was Hamilton.
Hamilton.
We were walking in from our car.
You say.
And we were singing.
We were singing
and just singing to each other
sing
on
all
our
the
way
time.
into our
As
apartment.
you guys know, we sing all the time.
And I all of a sudden felt like I was like in Brooklyn, New York, because somebody shouted from an upstairs apartment,
Shut
the up. And,
Yes.
and we were like, just like, we had to just like stop.
It's such a great
stop-
moment.
Stop singing show tunes. Just go to our apartment. And I was like, man, to be so annoyed at the world. Maybe that person must have been working a graveyard shift, because I specifically remember it was like noon.
Yeah.
It's not like it was like 8-10 p.m. You know.
Yeah, we
it
were
was
like,
it was the middle of the
but
afternoon.
we were being really obnoxious.
Yeah, we were
You
singing.
say.
No, we were doing da da
Da,
da
da,
da
da,
da
Da, 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 da,
da.
da.
So we lived in that apartment for 2 years, and it was super great, and a fun memory there. Lots of fun memories there. But like, my mom had the second bedroom, and sometimes I would put Judah for naps in her room whenever she wasn't there, or if she was at work that day or whatever. But Judah slept in our bedroom until he was 6 months old. And then we had to put his crib in the hallway.
Yeah.
And I put a curtain up in our little tiny hallway.
I remember the curtain.
Because he would nap right there in the hallway.
So Jarrell says this. That's when we started to vlog.
Who?
Jarrell and me. Remember we did that 10-day vlog where we kicked it off? When River was when Judah was a baby?
Uh-huh.
Remember I did a day after day daily vlog?
Yeah, I remember your daily vlog.
That was during that time, right?
Yeah, we were in that apartment.
The second apartment.
The second apartment, the
Mhm.
2-bedroom. Yes.
We started a daily vlog.
That's correct.
I didn't think I could be able to do it, but we did it.
You did it.
And it was wild because it's so cool because we look back in those apartment days and see.
Oh,
like-
yeah. I love looking back at those
Well,
apartment days.
And it's almost funny because you think like, oh, we have style. We're going to be rustic. And it's like our apartment was looking straight trash.
It looked like garbage.
Because we pulled
We
most of
got
our stuff out of the garbage.
Everything was free, found. What's the words that they use?
Reclaimed.
Boho.
Boho.
It was garbage. It was dumpster diving. Everything, like, we had like a wood pallet coffee table that we made. We got a wood pallet for the top of it.
Yeah, I thought, it's funny. I thought it was so artsy. I'm like, oh, look at this. I can do the baskets, the 4 baskets.
And we did the 4 baskets
with the-
underneath,
yeah.
which was really cool.
Kind of cool.
It was just
I've seen legit ones now.
really unsafe
Had a
to
lot of
have all
nails.
those jagged edges and
Splinters.
nails.
We didn't seal it. We should have sealed
We
it.
didn't
Sand
seal
it. Or
it.
sand
We
it.
didn't sand it. We didn't seal it. We didn't clip any of the nails that were sticking out.
Why?
And also, we had a newborn baby who was crawling around and like learning. I think we got rid of it when he got like toddling age.
Yeah.
We were like, this thing's got to go.
So,
But we lived there, and I remember so distinctly. I remember Judah sleeping in the hallway, and I would be like, okay, where do I want to spend Judah's nap? In my bedroom or in the living room? Because I can't go past him
yeah,
for like 2 hours.
you passed the point of no return.
That's right. And
So-
then, do you want to talk about where we went after that?
So then we had the opportunity of a lifetime. Like going from our, 1,000-foot apartment, I think it was about 1,000 feet, if not less.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Going from our 1,000-foot apartment, we had the opportunity to move into a home. like a legit home, like
A
church
house.
that they rent out to people to help in ministry.
This person was in the church.
And I said, "Oh, snap!" And dude,
They
was-
rented.
it was
They had
1,
rented
2,
that house to
3.
two other pastors
It was
before.
still a 3-bedroom house.
No, it was a 4-bedroom.
4
There
bedroom.
were 3 bedrooms upstairs and the master.
Oh yeah, and the master was banging. The master was
And
like,
downstairs, 2 living rooms, like an entryway room, and then like the room off the kitchen,
and that's
and a big backyard. And it felt so bougie. And I was going to say this for a second when you were talking about the apartment was dumpy and all these things, but I was so thankful for it.
oh, absolutely.
I was because we had lived in these bedrooms, and I remember being in the apartment and romanticizing apartment life, before we had an apartment, and then having one and just how great it was, and being so thankful for our own little slice of like our family right here.
You remember what we did to make it like feel like ours? We took the cabinets off.
Oh, the cabinet doors.
Why did we take the cabinet doors off?
Because we wanted open shelving and we weren't allowed to take out the cabinets. So we just took the cabinet doors off so we could have open shelving.
And we put the linoleum in it. Oh my gosh.
Yes,
Wild.
we tried to do so many things.
All that to say, it was great. We had an opportunity to move this home, and it was way big.
Yeah.
It's kind of more than we could handle.
Well, because we moved in there with all of our stuff and most of it was empty. And I was like, we got to fill up these rooms. We got to get more furniture. Like, we have 2 living rooms and only 1 living room furniture set. We got to get more couches. We got to get more shelves. We got to get a plate. This could be the playroom. We need to get more toys. We need to get, and then
Tori
we had,
says this real quick.
oh yeah. Go ahead.
Tori says you guys definitely use that for ministry home for sure. The
We
house was
did.
great.
We had a young adults Bible study, a college Bible study that we hosted at that apartment.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Oh, dude, those are the days.
Those were the days.
Bible studies. Oh,
Yeah.
man.
We did.
That was the only house that had great parking. The rest of everywhere we lived did not have great
Are
parking.
you talking about the apartment?
The apartment was.
She's talking about the apartment that we did ministry.
Oh.
Remember we hosted the young adults Bible study at our
but
apartment.
Did we?
And they had to carpool in the church van and park on the street and then
Oh,
walk up the
yeah.
hill to get there. And then when we went to our house, it was much better parking. It was in a regular neighborhood, obviously.
We're keeping up with the Joneses, as they say.
But we did decide, I got to fill up this house, got to get a bunch of stuff.
And we realized that we're hoarders
Well, I accumulated.
because we definitely filled
filled
every
it.
crevice
And the
of the house.
garage.
And the garage.
We had a garage for the first. Well, we had a garage before, and
But that was just for cars. So our
No, we
cars,
didn't- we
we
didn't-
really did that for our cars when they get towed.
did we park in the garage?
Yeah, we did. Sometimes when our tags were up.
That's true. When the registration was due, we would park in the garage so you can't get towed. But I feel like we use the garage mostly for storage of stuff. And then when we moved into this house, we just filled the garage. I had bedrooms upstairs, so I only had 1 baby. I was pregnant with number 2 now in this house.
Tori was referring. Okay, say real quick. Tori says this. Honestly, it makes us. Honestly, it makes it so much cabinets. It makes it so much easier without the doors. Going to do that with a few of our cabinets soon.
Yes, they just moved this weekend.
Yeah.
Remember last weekend? Congratulations on your new house.
And she was talking about the big house.
That we did ministry in the big house?
Yeah,
We did. Oh, okay. I mean, I know we did, but
we do ministry at every house we have. So
I mean-
like,
I was just, the first thing that came into my mind was that apartment.
well, and that was our view. With like our hopes was always to have a place where people can come and meet.
Yeah.
Like that was our
Open
dream
door.
about having a bigger home. Yes, it's not necessarily so we have room to do things in. Now I would love to have an office and do things in, but
Yeah.
it's like more like what's a home that I can invite people over and have my kids' friends come over in a place where they can play. Like I grew up desiring that, like have that, and so that we can have that opportunity where we can grow in that way, where we can just our home is open to anyone. Well, that's why I love Super Bowl parties here and doing those things. So before we get ahead of that, we're getting ahead of it. So we moved in that home. It was phenomenal. Did great ministry.
We had in that house, it was us and the master. Judah had his own room.
Mhm.
my mom still lived with us. She was in the other
Yeah,
bedroom.
my dad visited.
And then we had like a guest room that mostly your dad stayed in.
Yeah.
And so we were like, we got to fill this puppy because now, we needed extra beds. We needed all these other things. I was like, Judah needs like, a dresser, and Judah needs all these things that we didn't have room for before. And
But looking back, like, we didn't need it. We don't need it.
We didn't need it because after only 8 short months, everyone, of living in the big, beautiful house, the cloth hath talked yet again.
And that's when COVID hit.
COVID hit.
So we moved.
Baby was born.
Baby was born.
And then in October and 2019, and then
January, March, right there.
March, COVID hit, and then our landlord was selling,
No,
his son was going to move
Yeah.
into the house, and so we were like, oh man. So we were like, okay, what are we going to do? Where are we going to go? And that is when
we moved to Mama Bear's house.
the doors closed. The sun set on house number 5, and number 6 was we moved in with your parents
Yes.
back home to your childhood home.
Childhood.
Were we in your childhood bedroom?
We were in my childhood bedroom.
That was your room when you were.
Which room did we stay in? The left or right one? I'd say in both of them.
Oh, you did.
So the first
The one right at the top of the stairs.
Yeah,
on the
that
left.
was when Robert, Aaron, and I shared, and then eventually I got my own room to the right.
Yeah. So we were in your childhood bedroom, peeing in your childhood toilet.
Yep.
And
In my childhood bathroom.
yeah.
Many memories in there.
And our kids took showers in your childhood shower. Okay, that analogy is done.
Okay.
So that's what we did. We moved back in with your parents, and that was intentionally.
Bring back them.
What? Are you
Nothing.
crying?
I'm just like disturbing things.
Oh no. Is everything okay?
Just like we're not gonna go there. All that to say,
We moved into your childhood home,
yes,
and our kids like slept in the same bedrooms that you did when
Yeah.
you were a kid. It's crazy.
it's crazy because they got to experience some things I grew up doing, which is really awesome.
Yes.
like-
Walking to the park,
Walking to the park, going to the creek,
going to the creek.
and just like experiencing the life
So
of Mentone.
we were
They were
there.
Mentonites.
Mentonites?
Mentonites?
Mentonians?
Mentonians.
So we were there for the summer months. We were there from April to September or May or something.
Yeah.
It was like 4. Remember, it was 4 months.
And it was, I would say it was a blast. My parents say a little long, and
They say that?
they were definitely like, yeah, you said it was going to be like 2 months.
We did? I thought we said 3 months.
Well, we just said, yeah.
And then at the end of 3 months was when we finally found, because I remember that we found where we were going to go next, which
Yeah.
we'll get to. And it was going to be September 1st or mid-September or something. And I remember I started counting down the days and there was a whole month left. And I was like, I just can't wait. to
because
go
we
back
heard,
now.
so this is the wild thing, is that during that time, we were paying a bunch of debt down. It was incredible. Super thankful. But then we heard from our friends who were just like, hey, we're going to travel the States. So
They got in their RV and they were going to,
Yeah.
or their motorhome or whatever, and they were going to just travel around. But they weren't ready to sell. It was
Yeah.
still COVID time and they weren't ready to sell. And so
again, people coming alongside to bless us.
we were like, we'll rent from you. Rent the house to us. We're happy. And they said, let's go with a 1 year and we'll decide after that if we are going to continue traveling or if we're going to come back or if we're going to sell or whatever. So they said a year.
Oh, so we're going. So Tori says this. What did you guys do with all the stuff? I forgot that
Dude,
we were
yes.
moving out of the big house.
Yes. So that's why I built up all that nonsense about how much stuff we had, because we went from the big house
Back to the bedrooms.
Back to a bedroom. Back to 2 bedrooms living with your mom. So the nice thing
So-
about your mom's house is she also has 2 sitting rooms. So she essentially gave us half the house. She was like, you guys get this living room. We put all of our living room
Yeah, it was
furniture.
empty at that time because my mom's always on the verge of moving, but she never does.
Well, but they had their side with like
Yeah.
their TV and their chairs.
So we were able to step
We-
our side.
She emptied out that whole room. It was like Judah's toy, the boys, toys, their little coloring table. We had their whole shelf with all their books. And then we had their toy box. We had our couch, our recliner, love seat or whatever, our coffee table. We had our whole own little setup there, our own TV we brought
Yeah.
with our own stand for it and everything. And then the 2 bedrooms, she gave us the 2 bedrooms upstairs,
Yeah.
which was one for us and then one for the boys to share. And that was like really, really generous of
It was
them.
super
But
great.
getting rid of all that stuff and going back down to just a couple of rooms was brutal. And ever since then, I have a bad taste in my mouth for buying furniture, adding things to our life, and my sweet
As
husband
I'm looking at this right
is
here.
obsessed with a furniture salesman who's obsessed with thrift store furniture.
So saying that, this is the thing. Tori's like, because you go next place, you move.
Say it
you
again. Say what
Tori's
she
just saying because all the next place you moved to didn't have furniture either. Next place after my mom's.
So the
That
next
they had furniture already. Everything
they
was
already had furniture.
So basically, we kind of dumped it to Crump, a lot of it.
we did. We
dumped
took
it.
a lot of stuff to the dump. We gave a lot of stuff away.
My
for
mom
free.
sold a lot, which is great. My mom just did tons of yard sales and got rid of
Yeah.
a bunch of things.
And I remember, this will be my little side story here for that move. This is house number 5. Your mom is 6. So I remember leaving the big house, and I remember very specifically, like I was like, I can't hold on to all this stuff. And I started posting on the neighborhood website
Yeah.
and on Facebook Marketplace and through like moms in the church and stuff. And I remember like richly blessing so many people with the stuff that I was like, I'm not going to spend time selling this.
Yeah, just take it.
I'm just, here's all my baby items for, size 0 to 2T. Here's baby wraps. Here's a changing table. Here's
that
and
would
your
be
friend-
really credible to see. Like,
your friend Eddie.
oh yeah,
Remember his
Yeah.
sister was
Need all
having a
that-
baby.
we just gave him a ton
And I
of
said,
stuff.
just take it all. Just take it all. And he was like, I just remember how like he was like, she would never be able to get this kind of stuff like all at once. It's
Yeah.
like such a blessing.
Well, and that's the incredible thing too about it is that maybe hoarders and people should think of it like this: that think about the people you can bless with the amount of stuff you have,
Yeah. Speak
that
to
you
the
don't-
hoarders. Tell
or
'em.
you don't need it.
Yeah.
And so, saying
So,
that,
house number 6 was
so,
your mom.
Well, with my mom, the last day we were like the week we were moving out, a fire was up in the mountains.
Oh, yeah.
And literally ash is falling on my mom's house.
Yeah.
So we're like, let's just get out of here. So we loaded up with ash falling. We got out of there,
Yeah,
Dodge, and
that's
then
right.
we
I
came
remember that.
to the
It was very symbolic.
yeah,
The past burning down behind us, going into the future.
and then began our homesteading journey.
Oh man, that is the beginning. I did the COVID 2020 sourdough experiments. I got the chickens. Had the gardens. I did the whole thing. I did everything you were supposed to do for COVID. I checked off all the things. Because the house that our friends who were in the RV, the house that they were renting to us, was this beautiful, incredible, amazing home. And they already had it all set up in the backyard. The chicken coop was set up, just needed chickens. The garden beds were there. They already had things growing. Like they were literally like, we're going to leave as is. That's the nice thing about renting to us is they looked around the house and they said, just point to what you want and the rest of it will move it out. And I was like, great. And we kept their couch, some of their rugs, their dining table.
We kept a lot of their because their style was a lot better than
They
our
had
style.
they had
had the
great
good
taste.
stuff.
They had great taste and everything was so cute. Very like just, I don't even know the name. It was kind of farmhousey.
But
and
we were
just-
looking, you know, the cool thing again, we're just looking at each space that we moved to, like with our kids, they create memories there. I was so excited, like all these different things. But every one of those homes, we got great memories with family and
Mhm.
friends, and just inviting them over.
Yeah, we
And like
hosted
we
home
host,
group for the first time at
w-
that house.
first home
Or
group.
no, we had home group at the
Yeah,
big
yeah.
house too.
So first home group though, consistently we had my first turkey there,
Yeah.
first roast beast. Your family came. I was like the first house. Really
No,
came
the
before.
big house we host. That was our first time really hosting like
Being
Thanksgiving,
parties and stuff.
hosting
like
Christmas,
That was
having
great
birthday
Christmas.
parties, baby showers, all the things that we
Yeah.
needed were at that big house. And then again in this one, it's just beautiful, beautiful home, like so pretty. I would still live there to this day, 100%. But alas, the sun sets on house number 7, and
okay,
these
you're right. eight houses.
number 7, and then these. But I count the in between. So what happened was
what happened?
These friends that were traveling decided that they wanted to move. They wanted to buy a new. They had in their travels. They were sort of looking for where they might want to live next, and they found where they wanted to live. And they needed to sell the house so that they could buy a new house. And
wait, did you talk about how you did chickens and all that?
Briefly, yeah.
Okay, so
I had chickens. I had gardens.
Yeah, chickens was a big thing.
Chickens was a big thing. I loved those
She wanted
chickens.
chickens. She loved the chickens.
I had 6 chickens, and they were just my darlings.
The darlings. So all that to
them.
say.
So they decided to sell. And so we thought to ourselves, and also at this time, I got a job. I was working. So we were saving because we knew that this house was potentially going to be a temporary thing again. And I saved a bunch of money. We saved a bunch of money just saying like, this is for maybe a deposit somewhere, maybe just moving, cost of moving, maybe we're going to move out of state. Maybe we're going to go to Arizona. Maybe
Arizona's always been on the table for many years. Arizona's always like, oh, maybe this is when we moved to Arizona.
Mm-hmm. Is there any comments? I thought I saw one.
Nope.
Oh, same comments.
Same comments.
So
sorry, love you, Bobby. Maybe that'll be our 10th, 11th move when we retire. We can get a commune together.
We're gonna grow old into retirement in this house.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
We'll move. Oh, wait.
Okay, hold on. We're not there yet.
There.
So, home number 7 was this house. So beautiful. They decided to sell. We decided to try to figure out where are we going to go next. And we were looking, maybe let's just get into an apartment again. And it would be kind of a bummer for our kids to not have a yard anymore and whatever. But it would be for a short season until we save and then buy a house. And so we waited and waited and waited, and we were trying to figure it out. We ended up, there was a client at my office that I worked at who said, I'm selling my home. And she was having trouble finding a buyer, and she was sort of on like a time crunch to find a buyer. And so I said, well,
wait. Before
we were looking,
and I'm just going to say this, is that we were looking, and the reality is this. I told Alyssa, hey, have you ever thought about moving into a mobile home?
That's true. Before this,
I said, it's the only affordable place that we can move in California.
Jeremiah said, if you don't want to leave this state, if you don't want to go to Arizona, if you don't want to rent an apartment, let's look at mobile homes. And I said, I am not going to be trailer trash. Not doing it. There's no way.
But growing up, I knew that trailers were not just trash.
You knew that.
Because my dad would always move into trailers.
And there were a lot of nice neighborhoods your dad had lived in. My experience where I grew up was that, and it was not in the town we live in now. I grew up in a different town. None of the mobile home, manufactured home, trailer neighborhoods were very desirable.
Yeah, like I knew what the perception was when I said that.
And it wasn't just a perception, it was also experience. It was also what I had seen, where I had been, places I had seen. And the idea of that was like, I don't think that I want to raise my kids with that. I don't want to have to come home to that. And again, that was just my ignorance, because like
Truly, it was your
It was
ignorance.
my ignorance because I was passing judgment on an entire type of home
Yeah.
as opposed to, taking it case by case, and I will take the blame for that. And there is nothing wrong with doing what you can afford. Power to those people in those neighborhoods. It is what it is. So I was like, no way, absolutely not. That's not happening. I don't want that. The other thing with that was I didn't think that there were mobile homes that had yards.
Well, mobile
I
homes that
was
are
like, it's like a
yards,
patio that
mobile
at
home,
most.
yeah, and they're usually 55 and plus. Like all
And
the mobile
none
homes
of
is
them
around
would
was like
take.
55 plus, no yards, kind
Yes.
of stacked upon each other.
Yes. So
So
we were in home number 7. The people who own the home said, okay, we found a house we're going to buy. Let us know. They said, we will finish out the year lease for you, but as soon as you find somewhere to go, let us know so we can open escrow. And we were like, okay, like we have a little bit of time. And again, it was 8 months, just like the other house. About 8 months in, this woman came into my office and said she was selling her home. And she said, it's a mobile home. And I said, oh my gosh, no way. My husband was looking in that neighborhood, looking for a home. And he had showed me a few different ones, and they actually looked kind of nice. So I asked her all about the neighborhood. I asked her everything, and she was showing me pictures, and it looked so nice. And I was like, what? I did not think that a mobile home could look that nice or that the neighborhood could be that beautiful. I was like, that's crazy. So to fast forward the story, we end up deciding to buy the home. We buy the home. We open escrow. We let our landlords know, hey, we found a house. We're going to move forward. We're opening escrow. And, luckily it all just worked out the way we had saved enough money to be in this situation, as best that we could. And the house was affordable. And so we opened escrow and told them their escrow was I feel like 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks. And of them selling the house we lived in and immediately purchasing their new house. It was so fast. And we were like, okay, well, our escrow is going to go a lot slower. Our escrow took, I want to say 6 weeks, which meant in the meantime, because they had sold the house we lived in so quickly, 3 weeks in.
a quick comment from Tori.
Okay.
Says this. Pause. There's a suspense build.
Okay.
She says there's such a big range of mobile home neighborhoods. Some of them these days you never know that they're technically mobile homes,
Right?
Because they're so fancy.
Ah,
She
that's
says,
true.
Ha! With the
I have seen some fancy ones. In fact, before my parents moved into where they are now, they looked at some mobile home neighborhoods out by the coast.
Yeah.
And that some of those homes were I was like, it's a total beach cottage vibes, incredible. Yes, that's true.
So
Tori.
6 weeks.
So our escrow was going to take so long. So as the sun set on house number 7, the sun was just peeking over the mountain on house number 8. But before we could get into there, the escrow took so long that we had to move out of the house that we were in that had been sold. The new movers were going to move in. The new buyers were going to move in, they gave us literally a day before they were going to move in.
Mm-hmm.
And we were like, what are we going to do? Where are we going to go? And we reached out. We had a gathering at our house, remember? It was a gathering at our house for some reason, some kind of party get together. And while we were there hanging out, or someone else's house maybe, while we were there, we were like, man, yeah, we don't know where we're going to go because we're probably going to have to move out before we have escrow closes on our new house. And these friends of ours said, hey, we have a motorhome on our property. They had a farm. We have a motorhome on our property. You guys can stay in that until your escrow closes. And we were like, oh my gosh, that would be a lifesaver. We're thinking 6 days tops.
Yeah.
We're thinking a week in between until escrow closes. Lo and behold, here comes, at right as the sun was rising on house number 8, curtain was drawn, and little 7.5 popped up, and it's this little trailer that was on the property of our friend's farm, and we stayed there for 5 weeks. We thought it was going to be
Yeah.
just
And that was a
week.
huge blessing. Like
Huge.
we had a baby and like newborn? No.
No, we had River, who was not yet 2.
Yeah, so we had
he
him,
was 1.5.
River, and we just
then
it
we
was the
had
biggest
Judah.
blessing.
Judah was 3.
Yeah, is
River was 1.5, and Judah was 3.
So Naps was a little insane, but it was like a huge blessing for them to let all 4 of us in their home, and they served us well, and we
They
were
did.
treated, and
We
we
were-
just made some
yes.
amazing memories,
They're incredible people.
and they are incredible people.
And we were a family of 4 living in a little motorhome for 5 weeks.
yeah, we
Like,
wrecked
one-
that motorhome. Not
one-
wrecked it, but
no,
like
didn't.
we just like
But
we were,
one baby of which was still in a crib, so I had to set up the crib. There was no way to walk back and forth. It was springtime. It was the months of like April and May, or maybe March and April, and so the sun would beat down. It would get hot in there at nap time. Different things. They would let River nap inside the house,
Yeah, they
in
were
one of
very
the
sweet.
bedrooms.
and the whole family was just super amazing
They
to us.
they
again,
invited us to dinner. I feel like most nights, like
Yeah.
we had dinner with them.
which their cooking is delicious. Let me tell
Yes.
you, we got hooked
It
up.
was
Like
so
man,
hooked up.
they had some Italians and they made
And
food.
the
and it was
other
just, oh my
crazy
gosh.
blessing of this house is that they were building a house on their property, a second house
Yeah,
out of like
Mobile trailer.
mobile home trailer, and it was like in progress, and so they said, well, you could put all of your stuff in there as storage. So we packed up everything, and we didn't even have to rent storage for all of
we
our
stored
stuff.
it there. I stored some stuff at the church. I stored it in the trailer.
Yes, we stored
I
stuff.
stored it everywhere.
We stashed away our things everywhere, but we were able to fit almost all of it into that mobile
Yeah.
home that they had on their property that they were like in the
Mhm.
middle of renovating, which now it's like a fully functioning little
Yeah.
home on their property now, but at the time it was all just like walls and like not a lot, it wasn't ready yet.
And then one of
That
the
was
weeks,
such a blessing.
and you could take this, one of those weeks or a week and a half, you went to my sister's
Yeah.
because it was
Yes.
getting long. We kind
It
of
was the
felt
week
bad. It
before
was
we
just
were
like,
about to
Oh my
close.
goodness.
Because we were there for already 4 weeks, and I was like, I'm gonna get out of here. I'm gonna take time off work.
Yeah, just go.
I'm gonna pull the kids. Like Judah was going to Zion preschool at the
Yeah.
time, and I was like, I'm gonna just pull him out, and we are just gonna go, and we're gonna vacation, because it just the days were getting long living in a motorhome. So I was like, let's get the kids out, just go be free, go wild, go nuts, and I remember that on our way back from your sisters in Arizona,
Yeah.
we were racing the clock because we had to get a money order for our down payment and get papers signed and notarized and turned in. Remember, we
Mhm.
stopped at the notary on the way. We were literally on our way home from Arizona.
Yeah.
We had to go to their office
They
down
made
in
it
San
feel like
Diego.
that though, because we did all those things. It was like wild.
And
Oh yeah, you're right. We drove all the way down to
Down
the notary.
through San-
Oh my gosh, that
Yes.
was insane.
yes, with the kids in the car. And we got there and we got everything turned in on time, because I just didn't. We could have turned it in late,
No, we
but
turned.
I said,
let
if
me
I
tell
don't
you,
get this in, it's going to be another 3 weeks of escrow.
we literally did everything in our power, because she's like, yeah, if you wait till Friday, then you have to wait till business days. And it was like we ran, because we were on top of every single paper. They just took a while.
Well, and they called me so much. It was wild. It was all wild. So escrow finally closed on the house. And I remember that we knew it was going to be like any day now, any day now, any day now. We went and bought paint. We went and rented the U-Haul. We loaded the U-Haul so that the second escrow closed, we could drive the U-Haul
Yeah.
over and start
ready,
moving in.
ready to
Like
go.
we loaded everything up into the U. I just remember that we didn't even have the keys, and we loaded the U-Haul because we were like so ready to go. We packed up everything, cleaned up everything, and we were ready. And then as soon as I got the call, and in fact, we decided to drive over that day, and we were like, we'll just wait. And it was on the drive over I got the call from our from our real estate guy
Yeah.
saying, "Okay, it's officially closed. Like, you guys
Boom.
have keys." And I was like, "Well, we're right off the freeway, so here we go." And just this house was such a blessing.
100%.
And I saw the neighborhood. I loved it. I thought it was beautiful. We ended up having a yard, which I didn't expect. We ended up having just more space, and the creek that's like right down the road, like right outside of our house, there's like a creek to play in. There's just like so many things about it that I was like, wow, God is so good. What a
And
blessing.
it's one of those
Things
homes
I didn't expect.
we were so blessed to be here because it's one of those Starbucks job homes. I use that technical speaking, as my sister says. It's just in this home, can I work at a job and pay for it? And we can't. That's like crazy. Like we were blessed enough to be able to be in a home and afford a home through another crazy story, but just be able to be here. And we don't have to work at Starbucks, but like you can stay at home with the kids. That's a huge thing. We're
That's
like,
wild
we're able
because
to
of-
form a home. You don't need to work. And so this is home. It's just been a blessing.
Which is what I've always wanted. I've always wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. And I didn't learn until much later in life that I wanted to homeschool. I didn't know I wanted to homeschool until
the day of. Even now,
Basically.
you don't even know if you want to homeschool. But saying no, I know that you know.
I
what
know
homeschool.
I do, but I'm
But-
just saying I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom
Yeah.
for the early years, pre 5-year-old years. And then as it was coming up on school time, I was like, I don't want to send my kid to school. Like I was like, I'm not ready. I
Yeah.
want my kid at home with me. Like he's only 5 years old.
Well,
And I was like, I'm homeschooling.
yeah,
And I could because of the blessing that this house was.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think a big thing too is to think about is people are sensitive about the term trailer trash. Not trailer trash, of course that, but just like mobile homes or like trailers.
Well, because this is
It's like,
I'm sensitive about it.
I'm a manufactured home.
No,
It's not like a
because here's
trailer.
what happens. What happens is people be like, you're saying, "Oh, I live over off Ritchie Road," or I mean, in a street. I live over there off of this street, right there in that neighborhood, and they're like, "Oh, the trailer park," and you're like, "No, no."
No, I own it. I was
No,
like, man,
I
we can
say
move.
no.
I say we can move our house anywhere. That's the
No,
amazing about
I
it.
say,
Get a piece of land, we'll get there, and we'll put plop right down. We'll live it.
I am sensitive about trailer
No,
park.
be large and in charge, and just own it, and just say this is the way the cookie crumbles. But I think is it's just a name.
I
and-
say it's a manufactured home. It's a mobile home or a manufactured home. I don't like to call it a trailer.
no, this is
here's the
not
thing.
trailer. This
I am-
this
a
is
trailer-
massive. A trailer is like a trailer.
No,
This
a
is-
trailer park is like something that you can tow. Like you live in something that you could hook up to a truck and tow. That's a trailer, right?
Yes.
I say a trailer park is full of like trailers.
Ooh, this is good. I'm gonna post this comment. It's such a good.
All right, let's see what
Boom.
she
Let's
says.
see if I can do this with it. She says, is it waking up?
Thanks
Oh,
for
yeah.
engaging,
Says,
Tori.
I
We love it.
love that mentality so much. A house is meant to be a blessing, for not a curse. Of being in a home you can afford peaceably is far more valuable than any outward-looking stuff.
Yeah, being in a home you can afford is better than any outward looking stuff.
Correct.
100%. 100%. And that honestly it has taken me a while to get to that point because I have this big problem of comparison, and I prayed so hard for this house. I just wanted a home to live in that I didn't want someone else to own it. I wanted to be able to have a voice in if we moved and when we moved. And there's still some restrictions on that because we are still renting from this neighborhood. It's like a thing with mobile homes. You rent the land you're on, the space you're on, but you own the home. But there's some restrictions
Tori
with
says
that.
it reminds me of Proverbs 15:17, which you got to drop in the chat. Tori, you got to drop that. Not just a reference, but the verse. We're not Bible wizards.
We're not Bible wizards.
My
Bible wizard.
my sister says hi. So
Hi, Bobby. We talked about you again today. Go back and
yes,
watch.
yeah, we talked
Um,
about you a lot today, Bobby. Just because you've always tried to entice us with Arizona.
Yeah.
Like,
But
oh, sorry.
I just wanted to say that it had taken me a while to come to this point where
Mhm.
I was like content, because isn't it so crazy how you could pray so hard for something and want it so badly, and then once you get it, how quickly you're on to the next thing, and how quickly you are wishing for something more or something different. And that's how I felt. What I felt was like losing my chickens at our other house, coming here, and I don't get to have chickens. I don't get to do these other things I was excited about, and dreaming about the day if we could ever have a bigger yard and more land or whatever. And it's like, no, the Lord has us here. I can barely handle taking care of this house the size that it is, let alone if it was bigger, or let alone if there was more to do. Like, just stewarding where you're at and with what you have. Make it amazing. Make it amazing. Make it amazing, everyone. That's your takeaway. So, in total, are you okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm listening to you.
You're staring at me. 8. I'm going to say 8.5 homes. 8.5 homes, because 6 weeks in a motorhome, 6 weeks in a motorhome where we had to move that stuff, and we had to unpack and live there for 5 weeks. It wasn't a fully unpacked situation, but it was a lot. We had to do that for 6 weeks. I say that's a half a move. So the final verdict is 8.5. 8.5 homes that we've lived in.
We lost Instagram. No, maybe not.
What do you think?
Maybe we lost that.
8.5 homes we've lived in since we started. And that's that. That's the story.
That's the story. Thank you for sharing, Alyssa. Appreciate you and all that you do.
What is this? What are you doing?
No, I'm just.
You're so
I'm
distracted.
like I'm interviewing you.
No, you're like, what is going on right now?
I was looking at the chat. Sorry.
Okay, can you read me the chat? Because you're just staring off into space.
Bobby
I have no idea
says,
what's going on.
Drill says, definitely blessing in all. Inner Shoes says, be content in all things.
Amen.
And then Tori says, better a dinner of vegetables with the love than a fattened calf with a hatred. Ooh, that's good.
That's
good.
the verse?
I think that's the verse. That's a hot take. So.
Dang.
Absolutely.
That
is our story, y'all. And we have more to tell. More stories to come. We'll maybe do cars next. Yeah.
Oh, and the car story is as sordid as the house story.
Yeah. All that to say is thank you for joining us on this wild ride.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting. Thank you for commenting. I love when you guys engage. It's the best.
It's the best.
And that's our homes. And here we are. What's the future hold, honey?
Maybe renovating here. Maybe
renovating this.
Yeah.
I mean, we do. We've done a lot of work here. We've done a lot of painting, a lot of projects. True. Maybe renovating. Maybe. Man, it's never going to leave my mind that we could move this house to a piece of land.
Yeah, I think that's your dream, is like glory upon the sunrise.
Like we would have, I mean, like even a quarter of an acre would suffice. Even a quarter of an acre would be incredible.
But then we don't have lovely neighbors, and we're not called to be separate. We're called to be in the neighborhood.
A quarter of an acre is like a normal yard. It? Yeah. Yeah. It's not, I mean, it's a bigger yard, but it's not like ours is like smaller, but we would still have neighbors that live very close to us if we had a quarter of it, just so you know. Anyway, that's the story. The future holds maybe one day we could put this house on a piece of land. We probably never will do that. We probably would just buy the house on the land as it is.
It's funny because Tori, this is so true, Tori. I'll put this here because it's
what she said.
Tori's been a lifelong friend of ours, and so has these kitten cats. So all that to say, Tori says this. I'm gonna post it. She says, "Oh, I can't see it." You guys together stronger through all your homes. Thank you for sharing them all with us. Feel honored to know them all. Only missed out on the visiting your moms. That is so true. She has visited every single home.
That's true. Tori came to every single house. Every single bedroom. That's right. Yes, lifelong friend. Tori is one of the proud, the few. who saw us through it all.
She did. She's seen the ups and downs.
And you could
Oh,
still go to his mom's. You're invited.
Yeah, you're definitely invited.
We
You
go there all
prob-
the time.
Yeah. We'll just load your whole family up. We gotta visit their home. Anyway.
I know. I can't wait to see your house, Tori. All right.
All right. We'll
Want to
close
sign
that chapter
off?
down. And we'll say, what do we got?
Also, do you guys like Jeremiah's obsession with AI behind us, where he turned him and I
Okay.
into Lego people, and then he turned our kids into anime characters?
It's phenomenal. It's like
that's our family right
it's
there.
our family. I think they're
That's
looking pretty good.
Except for Joni.
Except for Joni.
Yeah. Jeremiah got a little carried away this week. All right. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Adios. Thanks for watching.
Adios,
Love
muchachos.
you all. Much
Love
love
you.
to everyone.
Peace. See you hopefully Tuesday.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Who knows?
Oh. Your dad's watching. Say hi, Dad.